come from different walks of life. We all have different levels of success. But we believe all three of us have something that we can share with the general public, and that we're actually going to be able to bring on other people that have other knowledge throughout the insurance realm, and we can interview them. But you're going to really see these three faces, which is me, Matthew Murray. Been in the insurance game for about 3 years, been taken advantage of a lot, so I know a lot of bad things that have happened, but I've also seen a lot of good. I've seen a lot of good in people, especially these two guys on here. We got Adam Schwartz. You want to introduce yourself, say hello?
Absolutely. Adam Schwartz here, been in the business for about 16 years. I know what it's like to be taken advantage of. 16 years doing this, and I still haven't found an IMO I can fully say that this is home. You know, it's just, I guess probably all three of us went through that, which is why we're so vigilant on, you know, transparency. And, you know, we know what it's like to see the mirage, and then all of a sudden we find out it's not real. And, you know, you've been doing that for 3 years. I've been doing it for 16. So, you know, you can't stop trusting. You can't stop loving after you get your heart broken. But I'll tell you, it's been quite the process.
Yeah, yeah. And then we got Nicholas Frumpkin. Nick, if you want to say hello, kind of introduce yourself so people understand the level of who you are.
Yeah. So I'm kind of between the two of you guys. I've been doing this about 6 years. I've been around the insurance industry for most of my life, though. I grew up, my dad, he doesn't do what we do. He doesn't do like final expense, but he does retirement planning, annuities, 403Bs. I grew up going to carrier trips and listening to agents complain about the same stuff we complain about still. I mean, nothing's changed since, you know, like 1989. It's all still the same stuff. And yeah, there's a lot of, especially out on the internet, there's a lot of weird, questionable stuff going around that makes it harder for people to figure out how to do this job. And it doesn't have to be that hard. You know, it just doesn't.
Yeah. What I've noticed is it's so easy to have this persona online. Everybody can become a guru overnight. Everybody can become the ninja of final expense, or the mentor of this or the mentor of that. And an everyday agent, they're looking for help in any way possible, and they see it and they gravitate toward this. And whoever's got the flashiest thing, there's like a bug in a headlight or deer in headlights, they just go straight for it. And there's so many things pulling them different ways, and it's hard to understand what's good and what's not. And I see a lot of people fail out of this industry because they got taken advantage of. I'll tell you a story. I was riding with an agent yesterday in the car, and we were going to see a lead, and it was wet and nasty. It was cold. It was, you know, not as cold as you probably got it up there, Nick, but it was like in the 30s, like 37 so on degrees, and it was just nasty. And I see this agent knocking on the door, and I'm like, who's this guy going to sell my lead? I'm going to go, who is this guy? Turns out he's with the company that I used to be with, and he was cold knocking in the rain with no leads. And I asked him a little bit, and I said, what kind of contract are you on? And he stood up like this, like he was super happy about it. He said, I'm on a 55% contract.
You're talking my exact story.
Yeah.
You're talking my exact story. I was in a blizzard, 55% contract.
And I said, dude, I've been there. And so I took this guy and I was like, dude, it's going to be okay. I was like, let me take you to Chick-fil-A. You know, like, come here, just a chicken sandwich. I gave the dude 15 free leads and a chicken sandwich, and he's ready to go. Right. And it was just, I could just see myself a year or 2 years ago when I was in that same position, and I just didn't know. And I could see him going, like, he was like breaking down. He's like, dude, I really see that you're trying to help me, because he's like, I can see it in your eyes. And he was like, I want that level of clarity between that. He said, because where I'm at, I'm just getting shown this flashy and flame, and that's the same thing that you get online, right? That's the same stuff that all three of us have seen online, and that's kind of what we want to get away from doing something like this.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're really saying some impactful stuff. I think, no matter where you are in the business, I wish, the opportunity that was presented to me 5 years ago when I was a couple of years in the business would have blown my mind. But now I look at that opportunity and I'm like, man, I wish someone should have showed me the way on how I can be autonomous and do everything myself so I don't have to rely on anybody. And I think, all through our careers, such as life, we're going to wish we knew what we're going to know, and I think that's a big part of what we're trying to do is save people the hardship of what we went through so that we can take away all the mirages, show what it is. And, because the saddest thing is so many people have so much potential and they can't they can only do a fraction of it because they only have certain access to certain resources and they don't know what's out there. And a lot of people are drinking some strong punch that they don't want to know. They're totally happy right where they are. A big part of recruitment is there has to be a level of discontent. I'm not talking about the people that are just going in your inbox and just asking everyone, hey, can you want to sell insurance? The funniest ones are people offering entry-level insurance opportunities to insurance groups, or
Right.
Right.
But I think those are the people that we feel the most for because I think we were all that person once upon a time.
I was.
Maybe it was a little different, but for me it was New York life. I was just happy to have a job, and even to this day, I mean, I got to train in 51st and Madison, one of the greatest places, in my opinion, to train at, and I appreciate everything. But man, I wish I knew more. I wish I knew what was being held for me, like a broker contract. You would hear about that in the hallway, but you wouldn't really understand what that was. Most captive agencies, unfortunately, all they do is teach what they do and say, if you can't make it here, you can't make it anywhere. Kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's more or less my story. I wasn't at New York Life. I was at Combined Insurance, but it's the same basic thing.
Sure.
And that's, almost everybody's been through it. Is the thing. There's almost a part of me that thinks that maybe you need to go through that to become a successful agent. You need to have dealt with the nonsense to be able to
appreciate
it. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, my story is exactly the same as yours, Adam. I mean, they force you to cold call and go door to door. They don't want you to use the phone. They want you to use the system that does put in place. And I will tell you, if what you want to do is go knock on strangers' doors, you will sell more using their system than any other way that you can possibly do it. It's great. If what you want to do is go knock on strangers' doors. But that's hard, man. It's a hard way to make your way. Oh God, and their whole system was structured. And this is why I'm so nervous about anybody who says that they want to get in and start recruiting, is because their whole system was structured on, you can't really make a lot of money unless you've built a team.
Right.
And so anybody that's doing even a little bit of production, they start sending on to classes to teach you how to recruit, teach you how to build a team, taking you out of the field, taking you away from stuff to teach you how to grow and build and turn you into a territory manager with the goal of one day becoming like a market director. And I mean, the market directors are making, $500,000, $600,000 a year. It's not a bad gig.
You got a 10-year vesting period with Combined, right?
Yeah. Unless you write over a certain amount of money, in which case they eliminate the vesting period.
Wow.
You have to write over $100,000 a year to eliminate the vesting period. And do you know how hard it is to write $100,000 a year of annual premium selling $15 accident plans door to door cold? I mean, that is
take you about 10 years to do it.
Yeah, man. I don't regret having worked there. I learned a ton, but it is some of the hardest work that I've ever done.
A lot of entry-level opportunities where they is bringing people who aren't licensed and they teach them certain leadership skills that, certain opportunities, that's all they teach. But they arm you with a certain type of, having a positive attitude, giving you the kind of tools you need. But people like us, we had to kind of learn to sell ourselves.
Right. Yeah, and I think that actually what we're talking about kind of segues into our first topic for today, which is culture, right? A lot of the reasons that I stayed at the company I was at for a long time was the culture, because I felt really good. The Kool-Aid, the punch, tasted really good. It was my favorite one. It was purple. It's not great. It's actually purple Kool-Aid. It tasted really good, and that's why I stayed, was because of the culture. And I know we had talked a little bit about this, but what is culture in the insurance industry, and how do you build it? And I really, this is the beautiful part about this for me, is I get to learn it from people who are way smarter than I'll ever be, and you just give me the time of day to do it. So I know Adam has built a hell of a culture.
I appreciate that.
And I know where Nick is at. There's a hell of a culture. There's a good, strong group of people who want to be there. So what is culture? And to me, it was a place, or some kind of gathering place, whether it be a group text or a group me feed, or we got together twice or 3 times a week. And even though none of us were making money, we were linking arms and talking about how much money we weren't making, but we felt good about it because of the culture, right?
True.
So, even though it was a bad culture, it was a culture, and they did a really good job of getting people lifted up and making them feel really good. So, what is culture to you guys?
I'll be a gentleman, Nick. You can go first if you'd like.
Sure. I think culture is important. I think culture is important in a lot of ways. Not running a team, happily not running a team. It's not really my job to create culture, but I do get to experience the benefits of it. The biggest part of this for me is, this is a mentally exhausting job. It is a mentally exhausting job that, especially when you're doing final expense, you're going to be talking to people that nobody else understands what you're doing.
That's right.
There is nobody in the world that understands what it is like to sell final expense like other final expense agents. And there's just not that many of us out there. I mean, not really. Like, there's a lot of people who claim to sell final expense, but there's not a lot of people who are actually doing it full time. So there is an element of, it's nice to have people where you can have a great day, you can have a terrible day, you can have a day full of just weird, crazy stuff, and have people just kind of respond to me like, yep, been there, and they know what you're talking about, and that's awesome. I think actually, of all of the things that, I don't know if you guys want me plugging my IMO or not, but I like my IMO.
That's nice to hear when someone likes their IMO.
Yeah. I think we've got a good group, and I think part of the reason we've got a good group is because it's intentionally not a behemoth, like crazy group. But I think one of the things that the guys that run my IMO do really well, aside from having a nice sales system that really works and that they can teach, and it's always good to actually have teachers who are good at teaching, because just because you can do something doesn't mean you can tell somebody else how to do it.
That's right.
They're good. I mean, they're good at all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that they are really excellent at is creating an environment of genuine positivity. And I want to focus on genuine because a lot of times you go into these places and there's very fake positivity. I'll throw it back to Combined. Hopefully they don't sue me.
We're gonna have to edit that. That's okay though. We'll just
we'll edit stuff. But throwing it back to where I started, they are huge believers in positive mental attitude. And they preach it and they talk it and they say it all the time. And nobody who's actually working for them has it. It is not a place that is full of genuine positivity. But, they teach you cheerleading chants. They Every 6 weeks, they send you to a meetup with other people in your region. You have twice a week meetings with your team where you're supposed to kind of rev each other up and pep each other up and talk about how great you're going to be and what you're going to do. And it's all very surface level. Whereas the genuine positivity comes from people who are genuinely successful, having a spirit of generosity and not being afraid to share both the good times and the bad times in their success.
Right.
Because there's good and bad in all things, you know. The most successful agent has bad days. But also the most successful agents are not keeping things secret. They're saying, you know, hey, if you want to post up a recording to our group's chat, we'll listen and we'll break it down and we'll maybe tell you some hard truths about what's going on with your presentation, but you're going to come out the other side better, stronger, and you're going to be more successful. And it is a feeling of everybody pulling on the rope in the same direction to try and get the weakest link in the chain stronger, to try and make every single person who is, you know, we call it the pirate ship, every person who's aboard the pirate ship to succeed. And we, you know, and they've done a really good job of engendering that collective need to help out the person who's struggling, to kind of reach your hand out and say, hey, listen, you're having a hard time. Let's fix it. And they do other stuff too. I mean, you know, it's cool. They send us on vacation and we have a weekly training call, which is great. And you can kind of ask questions and there's all sorts of little things that they do, which are nice. But I think that's kind of the big picture thing that they do is, you know, when you get people who are genuinely successful, having that spirit of generosity of saying, my success is not a selfish thing. There's room for everybody to be successful. There are a lot of people in this country who all want to buy final expense insurance, and we can help each other get to that higher level. It's a pretty cool thing. And one of the things that is most frequently said by people who come into our group who were somewhere else. We've got a guy who came into our group right now. He's been in the annuity business for 20 years. And the first thing he said after having been there for a week is he said, you know, in the 1 week that I've been on this group chat with you guys, you have shared more with me than anybody in the annuity business shared with me about how to sell annuities in the 20 years that I was in the annuity business. And that's sort of what it's all about. Again, I'm not trying to make this sound like a commercial for my IMO, but I think that's got to be the goal, because I'm on Facebook to have friends and to socialize. I'm on, you know, I have real friends in real life that I go out and I hang out with and I have a beer with. I don't talk about final expense with them. I don't have any final expense agent friends who live nearby, but I'm not in business for my friends. It's nice that I am friends with several of the people that I work with. But the culture is a culture of openness and education. And that's I think what actually makes things sort of special. So
yeah. And just so people know, Nick created with somebody else a FE agents only group on Facebook that has a great culture. It's a fantastic culture. It's for final expense agents only. I'm hoping this video will get there so people can watch it and enjoy it. And I've seen a lot of value come out of that. So that's a really good culture that you built there. And then Adam also has his own group, the Insurance 411, that he has a really good culture. And both of the cultures that I like about that is, hey, we might have thousands of people in this group, but there's a strict no recruiting rule. And I think I messaged both of you today about a certain individual who tried to reach out to me because of the videos that I've been doing. And
Oh, we were gonna have fun with him. I didn't see him in the group. We were gonna have fun with him.
Oh man,
Because I haven't had one of those yet, and everyone's been having people recruiting in their groups, and I've been able to, make an example. That would be fun.
Hey, don't worry, brother. It's coming. We'll find.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, we got. Well, see, Nick has the wall of shame.
Yeah, people hate the wall of shame. Oh my gosh.
I think it's hilarious. I love it.
I have gotten more negative feedback about the wall of shame. People walking out of the group in a huff when they discover that the wall of shame is there, telling me they're going to pull their agents out of my group and they don't want them seeing it because it's negative.
And that's the thing, man. I mean, there's a difference between a positive culture and a fluff culture. You can't hide the truth. If sometimes the truth's going to bother people, and maybe you should have just abide by the group's rules in the first place, you wouldn't have this problem. I want to let you guys know, and I just found this out because this is how it popped up. We have 7 minutes and 30 seconds because we didn't get the full upgrade, the Pro. So,
okay.
So again, I have nothing to do with this, but I'll talk to Evan so we get that upgraded.
So today is going to be the one topic of culture, which is fine.
Yeah, totally cool. I was so excited to talk about dress code, as you guys probably have imagined. It's unfortunate we couldn't get to that on this one, but we'll try to do it on
I know Nick had actually reached out to me and was like, she was like, I've been thinking a lot about this and I cannot wait. I was like, whoa, man, I got to bring somebody else on board because I don't want you to like rail through me. So I was like, hey, Adam, you want to do the thing? You're like, hell yeah, fam. I'm like, all right, good. Nick, you two duke it out and I'll be the mediator between these. I'll put my few input, but it's great.
This will be the hype video for the next one we do.
That's right.
We'll do it like
Battle of the Bout.
That's right. Don't miss next time when we talk about whether or not to wear a tie.
I love it, man. Dude, it's a miracle I put on clothes every day. Forget a tie. So I'll tell you what. Since we got 6.5 minutes left, let me try to do the best I can to just put my 2 cents in on culture.
Sure.
The entry level atmosphere where it's very positive. No one's making any money. Your upline or people that are over in the office trying to take advantage of you one way or the other. When I was in New York Life, so many people were desperate for business because prospecting was very tough on them. That when the new people come in, the wolves come out and they say, oh, I'll take good care of you, I'll train you. And then when you help them out with some clients, and then you think all you learned was how do you steal clients from an agent who doesn't know any better. That's pretty much what you learn. Now, with that being said, the training through the actual company itself is insane. I went through other companies where I got tastes of other cultures. I got a shot to run my own shop for the past couple of years, and I learned a lot of lessons. I started recruiting nationally like every other Smendrick who's trying to take over the world, and I learned that was not the way for me to go. It was a big blow to my culture. I couldn't even imagine like people working with me and the culture's not strong. And one of the biggest issues was people were too far and I didn't have connection. So for example, here's where I'm at. Okay, this is the point on where I'm at. Okay, this where you're at, where both of you guys are at, when you're building your shops, that's going to be the strongest point. And then when you have your offices around here, it's strong, but it's not as strong. And as you keep going outer layers, the culture gets weaker and weaker. Now, I've built multi-million-dollar shops that were thousands of miles away from me, but it wasn't sustainable. It's not that the premium wasn't there, just that when you have a working relationship like we have, or an upline, downline kind of thing, or any kind of relationship, you're gonna have an issue. You're gonna have a problem. And if you don't have the culture where you can resolve it, then it's just not sustainable. The scalability of how big we can be is all based on what your culture is. Every company has a culture. And if you are running a company and you don't know that, it's probably a pretty shitty culture. So here's some of the things that I had to change from, because I realized that there were things that I had to do so that we can grow. I kept everything really tight. We're really building strong in the state of Florida. I used to show that our culture was pretty much like an orphanage for abused agents. And I think that's kind of like what you can feel that. And anybody who has experienced that kind of stuff and knows that they're going to be taken care of, like you guys said, they're really going to appreciate that. I got some 18, 19-year-old kids that are making some good money and they don't even know how good they have it. You're supposed to get your ass kicked by the business for
That's
at least
right.
a couple of years for even to get a shot at something like
These
that.
young whippersnappers.
Yeah. And one of the other things I want to do with my culture, there's a lot of people say, oh man, we have great people. We're like a family. And you get that from every opportunity, even if it's true or not. That's what you're going to get. What I wanted the main source of my culture to be is we're going to have 4 to 6 agents in every single office write at least 5 to 15,000 annual premium consistently. Well, what happened is when you bring an agent in, either they fit in or they phase out. When you got 50 agents in an office and 4 to 6 agents are making money, you're going to have some of these people who just aren't cutting it, and they're going to get into some of the stud or studettes' heads and say, hey, man, this opportunity sucks. You're the only one making money. You can make money anywhere. You can probably make money somewhere else. Then all of a sudden, these cancers that aren't even producing premium, probably most likely to give you your chargebacks, are affecting your studs. So what I also wanted to do was during my changes, I didn't want to focus on recruiting everybody. I see these people online. Anytime someone new says, hey, I'm new to the business, and do you think you can help me? And there's 20 people saying, oh, I can, man. Like, do you understand what kind of time that goes into training a brand new agent? I mean, gosh, like what I do is I put about $1,000 to $1,500 a week in financing my agents because I also wanted the culture to be about saving agents. And most agents come into this business. I mean, when you're 5, you aren't walking around with a clipboard or a briefcase saying you want to sell life insurance. You want to be a policeman. You want to be a veterinarian. You want to be an astronaut. So if you're here doing this, either your dream didn't work out or you didn't have one in the first place. So with that being said, you're not typically a kind of person who's going to have thousands of dollars to invest in your business. So for the people that there are certain things that I see in, if you're hardworking, and people say coachable all the time. It's such a silly thing. You can't have coachability without faith. You just met me and I'm asking if you're going to be coachable to me. It doesn't make any sense. I have to earn that right from an agent. Now, once I do, you better give me everything you got. And I suppose one of the reasons why I like to dress comfortable is because I don't want to put on, and I guess we'll get into this for another video, but I really want people to come as they are. When people come into my office, they really see like it's not APV. It's not annual premium value. It's annual premium. It's not a point system. It's annual premium. We're not disguising the numbers for anything what they are. And, I don't describe it to be easy. I describe it to be very simple, but as you guys know, it's not very easy.